Hi, this is Jean Doles. I want to thank you for joining this session, Your Journey to the Boardroom, the opportunity and impact of nursing leadership serving on boards in communities to improve health. Our featured presenters today are Laurie Benson, Kimberly Cleveland, and Kim Harper. And due to the volume of participation, we won't be able to address individual questions from attendees. However, links will be made available at the end of the session and throughout the session several times. Please keep yourself muted unless you're a presenter, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Kimberly, you ready?
I am. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. We are very happy to be joining you here on your journey to the boardroom, the opportunity and impact of nursing leadership. Next slide, please, Kim. You've heard that today you have myself, Kim Cleveland, as the NOBC board chair, Kim Harper, one of our board chair emeriti, and Laurie Benson, our executive director. Next slide. What we're going to accomplish today is to give you an overview of what NOBC is about. We're going to talk about why nurses and why now. We're going to talk about our alignment and mission between AARP and NOBC. We're going to give you some information about the NOBC models and the board competencies and the board readiness information so that you can be assisted along your journey. We're going to talk about board opportunities and resources. And finally, we're going to talk about what you can do right now. Next slide, please. So why nurses and why now? It's been a crazy couple of years, but what we've all learned through this process is that all boards benefit from the unique perspective of nurses to achieve the goals of improved health and efficient and effective healthcare systems at the local, state, and national level. Next slide, please. We know that nurses bring a unique set of skills. Because of what we do on a day-to-day basis and our unique preparation, we are leaders. We understand the quality and process improvement processes. We're good communicators. We know how to work as a team, and we know how to work with many people from different backgrounds to make great things happen. We are natural strategic planners by virtue of the fact that planning is a part of everything we do. And surprise, surprise, one of the biggest things that we really enjoy is the fact that we very much can work in a budget and we can work with the resources that are given to us. So we have a background in understanding finance. On a day-to-day basis, we're using research to improve our care and to improve everything that we touch. And we look at the world through a systems perspective where we appreciate change and understand change theory. Next slide, please. When we looked at the future of nursing 2020 to 2030, charting a path to achieve health equity, we were thrilled to find out that nurses on boards was working in lockstep with what was being discovered and disseminated across the United States. And it helped us to create and embolden our strategic mission as an organization. Next slide, please. Okay. So when we created our strategy map for 2022 to 2025, we started with the mission of nurses on boards to improve the health of communities through the service of nurses on boards. And we developed 3 key strategies to assure that we were going to get ourselves to where we wanted to go. The first was that we were going to target board placements where nurses can influence policies regarding the social determinants of health to ensure social justice and equity at the community level. The second was to demonstrate the value of nurses in board seats, identify the perceived barriers to this plan, and to publish and disseminate measures of success related to our desired outcomes. And the third was to continue our core work at NOBC, which was to be a conduit for placing nurses on boards. The 5 strategic imperatives that arose from this were to facilitate board placements and prepare nurses to serve on boards. The second was to continue to promote stewardship and sustainability. The third was to promote collaboration among states and national organizations in order to integrate our strategies. The fourth was to demonstrate the value and impact of nurses on boards. And the fifth was to develop member and partner synergy, strategy, and value. Next slide, please. So think about where you're sitting now and the different engagements that you're involved with. Places where you get the idea or the opportunity, rather, to talk about advocacy or to advocate for something important for you. To think about policies that impact the community around you or the populations that you serve. Think about where you can find your position to lead because of what you understand through strategic thinking or through the work that you're doing because you're a change agent. All of these opportunities give you a place to start to consider what board might be best for you and to consider at what level you'd like to lead change. Next slide. Here you see how our AARP purpose and NOBC mission are aligned. We've been together since the beginning of NOBC, and the purpose and the mission are very well aligned here. AARP's purpose is to empower people to choose how they live as they age, while NOBC's mission is to improve the health of communities and the nation through the services of nurses on boards and other governing bodies. Next slide. When we think about the definition of board service, we use a very broad definition. The definition of board service for us is boards that have strategic influence to improve the health of communities and the nation. This includes any corporate, governmental, nonprofit, advisory, or governance boards or appointments that have fiduciary and/or strategic responsibilities. Next slide. So now we have a question for you. We'd like to know how many of you are currently serving on a board. And so that polling question will come up and we're going to ask you to click on the answer. Oops, we have a little something that's different than what we were expecting. I'm going to try that one more time, I think. Okay, I'm not sure that we got an accurate answer there, but I would like to thank all of you who are serving in boards for what you're doing. And I'd also like to take a moment to turn this over to Kim Harper, who's going to walk you through some of our models and talk a little bit about how those are available to you. Kim?
Thank you, Kim. You just never know what's going to happen when you're live on screen, do you, with these things? Okay. I have the wonderful opportunity to talk a little bit about the models that we've created, and we're so delighted to be with you here tonight to share these. Nurses on Boards is very proud of the fact that we've created 3 actual models, one a board competency model, one a board readiness model, and one a support role for success model. This is the first one. This is our competencies model, and these are all available to you on the website, nursesonboardscoalition.org. This one is created throughout the concept of what does it take to serve on a board, and at what levels of what competencies that we have, what boards are we ready to serve on? And so we actually interviewed over 100 nurse leaders. We created all of this information based on what they said they thought was important. So we put these into 3 categories, the competencies being self-leadership competencies, organizational leadership competencies, and civic and professional leadership competencies. And you can see those listed here. Then we took this and created a second model, which is our board readiness model, which took these competencies and put them kind of in novice to expert with Patricia Benner's work, and said, if you have these competencies at the lower level, that you're probably prepared better to serve on advisory and community boards. Then if you've developed additional skills, then you might be ready for organizational governance boards, kind of outside of the advisory board session. And then once you get into the more expert levels of competencies, then you're probably prepared for corporate governance boards at the professional association and maybe national, local, and national levels. And then this is the same thing that we have here, although this is a little bit bigger, so you can actually see it. This is the top half of that model. And then this is the bottom half of the model. And as I said, you can get this online in anytime you want it at nursesonboardscoalition.org. Then the third model that we've recently created is our roles for success. We know that we're all where we are because somebody helped us, right? And we need to continue to do that. So we spent a lot of time thinking about what were those things that people did to help us? What were the roles? And we created this concept of preceptor, mentor, coach, and sponsor. And as you can see, these are defined well in this little graphic. A preceptor is what you think of it as when we started nursing, right? We had a preceptor who helped us learn specific things that we needed right then to know what to do to begin our employment. These are things that are time limited. It's, somebody's assigned to us to be our preceptor. We don't pick them, and they teach us what we need to know. Another one is a mentor, very different. We select our mentor, or our mentor selects us as a mentee, right? These are voluntary roles. We're not getting paid for this. It becomes a very trusted advisor. It's a long-term relationship, usually with a mentor. Many of us are only where we are today because of someone doing that for us. And sometimes we go back and forth. We're a mentee with somebody and we're a mentor with somebody else. So it's a very important role. A coach is another one. A coach is something that we think about athletics, assigned to us, or that we pick out or search out because they can teach us a specific thing. It may be financial acumen of the forms that are used for the finances of that particular board. So coaching is something that is very personalized. It's short term usually, and somebody helps us learn something. And then the fourth one is really important, and that's a sponsor. And if somebody is watching us and saying, I'm pretty impressed with what that person can do, I'd like to help he or she move up. I'd like to get them involved. I'd like to introduce them to opportunities. I'd like to open doors for them. I'd like to create opportunity. That's a sponsor role. And all of us have these different roles. We play the roles, and we have those roles in our lives assisting us at different times of our careers, and at different times specifically when we're serving on boards. These are just examples of some of the kinds of resources that we have available. And Laurie Benson is going to take it over from here, and she's going to talk a little bit more detail about the additional resources that we have available and kinds of boards that they would be helpful for. Laurie?
Thank you, Kim and Kimberly, for laying the foundation. Now we're going to go from strategy to reality and make this all about you. So as you're thinking about what you've heard today, we hope that you bump out your boundaries and think about what's possible for you to raise your leadership voice in new ways. So for those of you who currently serve on a board, you're very familiar with these types of boards. But looking at from nonprofit to for-profit advisory appointments and commissions, clearly you can build on your board service or find your new place by thinking about, in this framework, where you would be most likely to serve and have an impact. So different boards offer different opportunities. And whether you're in the healthcare practice or in the community in broader ways, like working with startups, larger, small companies, maybe where you live, each of these gives you different choices. So what NOBC has done to fill that strategic gap where there's more demand of nurses who want to serve than there's boards available, we've established national relationships, certainly with AARP, United Way, the Alzheimer's Association, and CASA, in order to create these board opportunities and cascade them from the state and to the state, national, and local level. So we're very excited with our collaboration with AARP to focus on several different opportunities that we'll talk about in just a moment. So making an impact together. You heard Susan Reinert talk about her role serving on the New Jersey Executive Council for AARP. She was the first nurse in the country to do so. Now we've opened up and leveraged those opportunities for nurses to serve in each state in terms of the executive committee role. Another really exciting opportunity is our collaboration with the AARP Age-Friendly Community Network. A state can be age-friendly and communities can be age-friendly. There are over 700 age-friendly communities in the United States. And what does that mean? They share a commitment with all diverse stakeholders in the community to make communities more livable for all ages. I do want to point out the 8 domains of livability, which is their framework, aligns perfectly with what we know and refer to as the social determinants of health, addressing housing, transportation, access to care, green space, etc. So the skills and competencies you learn in practice, academia, and in the community translate very naturally into effective service on the steering committees for age-friendly communities. But let's hear firsthand from Jean Ross in Indiana, who will share her experience in doing just that.
Why are nurses so needed to serve on their local age-friendly city committees? If you don't know, Age-Friendly States and Communities is a program within AARP's larger initiatives of livable communities. This idea, local people and leaders are the most interested and invested in making their communities livable for all ages. My name is Jean Ross. I am a nurse, and I have been serving on Fisher's Age-Friendly Committee since October of 2018. I joined my city's age-friendly committee as they were just in the beginning of surveying and evaluating and developing an action plan around the 8 domains of livability. I was very interested in learning what this committee was doing because I lived in Fishers with aging family members. I was volunteering with a grassroots movement called Dementia Friends, Indiana, and I was working within my community as a nurse care coordinator for older adults and family caregivers. I find a lot of nurses, like myself, are intimidated by this notion of serving on a board or committee within local government because they don't see other nurses already there. So we assume we are not needed. But this is so far from the truth, and we need nurses serving. What I have learned at these large tables of decision makers and community leaders is they are always appreciative of a nurse's experience and views. We as nurses have to understand our very unique perspective and place we hold in our communities by simply showing up to our places of work and caring for the residents of our community, be it your local nursing home, public health department, surgery center, local hospital, or home care. When you have an initiative like Age Friendly and you look at the 8 domains of livability, I believe health impacts each and every domain. Often, community leaders and members of these committees don't have experience with local health or social services, or they only have their personal experience, where nurses bring a treasure trove of stories and experiences of what challenges your local residents are facing with their independence and health, the very challenges these age-friendly committees want to make better. To make the best plan of livability, a nurse is vital. We as nurses must learn the value of our voice. I have to thank the work of Laurie Benson because she has been an example and paved a path for nurses to learn and find these opportunities through Nurses on Boards Coalition. From serving, I have built a diverse network of like-minded individuals who want to build healthier communities. And that has helped me fill my cup in a way to keep going as a nurse.
We want to thank Jean for her being a role model and an example of the impact nurses are making in the age-friendly communities. We also want to thank Laura Cantwell and Kathy Black with the age-friendly state of Florida for opening this up to nurses throughout their state, for the AARP leadership in Wisconsin, Maine, and other states. And hopefully, if you're interested, you'll let us know so we can connect you to your age-friendly community where you live and work. So to wrap us up, I want to share just a few more resources. You may be thinking, well, how am I going to find the right spot for me? Think about your mission first, and then make sure you have a one-page bio in addition to your CV to make it easy for others to see where you can contribute. Then we've included 2 slides, which we'll see in a moment, or you'll have in your handouts, that provide links to some additional resources, both the competencies, readiness, and support models that Kim shared today, as well as a step-by-step getting to a board from the idea until you actually network and find a board opportunity. We've even included a board simulation for those of you who haven't seen a board in action before. So the next resource I wanted to share is our educational videos that were provided to us by the Texas Health Trustees and the Texas Action Coalition. These are free. They walk you through board roles and responsibilities, best practices, how to network to get on a board. Everything you need is right here, and you can watch them at your own time and your own pace. They're exceptional. I've attended this training in person before it was virtual, and I know that you will find it to be very helpful for you and others. So please do check out our resources. They're abundant. And of course, we offer our personal support on your board journey. What can you do right now? Register in our database. Let us know if you serve on a board or about your interest in serving. Access our resource. We've included all of our resources. We've included the link. Tell us your story. It makes it believable for other nurses that they can make a difference. And of course, engage, mentor, and support each other. But find your way on our path with AARP through our shared commitment to increasing the number of nurses serving in governance roles. And we would love to just call out the collaboration with Will Stoner and his team. They just work with us hand in hand to find the opportunities in each of the communities where you live and work. So we've listed some references for you to pursue on your own. And now is our last moments really to invite you to share your ideas, comments, and questions with us in the chat. You can reach out to us. Mary was so gracious in putting my email in the chat, laurie@nursesonboardscoalition.org. And then also they're included in our last slide. Our main reason for being here, please let us know how we can help. You're extraordinary nursing leaders. And what you do every day is so important. So we are honored to support you as you consider where you might raise your voice in new ways. Thank you for embracing this opportunity. I hope you can tell we're excited to be here. This is what we love to do, is support people like you, nursing leaders like you, to find a very meaningful role to address, promote a culture of health, improve health for all, and certainly equity. So we celebrate you. We appreciate you. This is for our board of directors at the American Red Cross. In June this year, our in-person meeting. And please reach out to us. Thank you.
Please return to the main session now. Thank you very much for our participants and for those individuals who were our great presenters. Thank you so much for your time.